Basically, the Pakistan scenario reminds me of Chandler Bing in Friends. Who has to die for me to get the baby? It is basically that setup right now.
Here to remind our listeners again that this is the friendliest cricket podcast.
TV umpire to director, we have a player review. Can we rock and roll, please?
Welcome everybody to Bits and Pieces, our friendliest cricket podcast. Today is episode 43 and we are recording this at 8:30 in the evening, just minutes after India lost to South Africa, effectively knocking out Pakistan from the T20 World Cup. 43, as we all know, is one better than the answer to life, universe and everything, which was more or less what Pakistan's hopes in the tournament was today, which are done.
Are you saying they've thrown in the towel?
Oh.
See, this is why Tony should do intros. So, joining me now is a fun panel. I'm going to start with the person who said what you just heard. He's a solid opener and he's memorable and he does these amazing introductions, but he has a tendency for going on a little longer than expected. Meet the Mohammad Rizwan of today's podcast. Say hello, Tony Sebastian.
I thought he was going to say Sachin Tendulkar.
Today's introductions are all Pakistan themed because in complete tribute to the wonderful team. So say hi, Tony.
Hi everyone. Nice to meet you.
All right. He seems to be doing everything of late, like jumping from aeroplanes, writing cricket articles, and producing not one, but two, but three podcasts. Once in a while, he bowls leg spin. He bowls the last over. He does a lot of things. Say hi, Nitin Sundar, to the Shadab Khan of today's podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. He's definitely my favorite Pakistani cricketer in the current team. So very, very glad to be likened to Shadab. Also bowled beautifully today.
True. Great. That now brings us to the third person. He's articulate. He's smart. He's much better than everybody else because he's abroad. He does Halloween costumes like the Mask of Zorro. But today, he's Shan Masood. There is somewhere that rhymes with the Mask of Zorro. Say hi, Murali and
Hi, thank you for that wonderful description. I feel like the entire, Indian country needs a mask right now for the kind of display we're putting up in the game of cricket. But thanks for that intro.
But wait a sec. He said very articulate because he's abroad. You are also a broad, like Stuart Broad family.
Of all the Broads, you picked Stuart Broad to compare me with.
Oh, sorry. Okay, Chris Broad. Whichever you prefer. Oh, you were going for the other Broad. Okay. Yeah. I was going for a narrower reference. But
Got it.
Rounding up today's panel, he's young, he's fast, and his smiling face is a meme. And he always prays for Kohli to come back in form. For RCB, say hi to Samir Shah Afridi. Hi, Samir.
Hey, hi, PGK. But sorry to burst your intro, but Pakistan are still mathematically in the World Cup. They are not out.
Spoken like a true RCB fan. And me, I'm Praveen Gopal Krishnan. I am the Shakleen Mushtaq of today's podcast because after all, ye to Kudrat ka nizam hai. Everyone, say hello. Who do we talk about first? Do we talk about India, South Africa? I think we should just talk about India, South Africa and then move on to Pakistan. Just when we started this podcast, Nitin said something interesting. He said that this is the first match that I have actually watched properly in this World Cup. So, Nitin, you should start by telling us your impressions and expert opinion, given that you watched this match properly.
Well, to start with, I think right at the outset, you could see that it was going to be played on an extremely fast and bouncy pitch. With both teams, being cagey about the spin options that they picked, right? With Tabraiz Shamsi getting dropped and Akshar Patel getting dropped. Ultimately,
KG was what South Africa picked in their fast bowling side also. Rabada. Okay, anyway.
Yeah, very unusual conditions for T20 cricket. We should talk about the very unseasonable season in which this tournament is being played, right? For a variety of reasons. Extremely cold Western Australia on the, super bouncy pitch. You had Rahul Dravid sitting on the sidelines with a beanie on, and everyone looked, like they would be happier anywhere else in the world than playing a cricket match.
I have a question of that beanie. I feel like this is like a special request that they asked the Indian team. because the beanies also had the BCCI logo on it. And I imagine, do you think this team travels with like hoodies, jackets, t-shirts, blazers, beanie? What else do they have with the BCCI logo on it?
Leopard earmuffs for Chennai snow.
I think the beanie was a tribute to Pak Bean.
Okay, we'll cover Park Bean a little later. But yes, go on.
Yeah, so extremely unusual conditions, right? Which I don't think any cricketer has ever actually prepared to play, T20 cricket in a pitch of this kind at a time of the year in this kind of weather ever. So it's throwing all kinds of interesting possibilities. Fantastic match, must be said, right? And though in the end, I think South Africa probably made it linger a little longer than they would have wanted to. Really, the game was done as a contest, maybe going into the last 2 or 3 overs. And game of very small margins, right? Though India only got 130 odd runs, a couple of chances that they dropped. If they had taken those, this could have been a cracker. In fact, India could have won this game. They would have probably been favourites if Rohit Sharma had got one of those runouts or Kohli had taken that catch. But not a big great match. They say that low-scoring T20 games are not fun. I completely disagree. I think if it's a pitch that allows the bowlers to come into the game, it makes for fantastic T20 cricket as well, and not just Test cricket. So, yeah, overall nice, and I think it's thrown open the tournament to some extent, because an India win today would have pretty much put them into the semis, or close to the semis at least. But now, I think even India's position in the table is a little wobbly, right, despite the fact that they have 2 wins. So, yeah, all good.
Nice. Who wants to go next? Murali, thoughts?
Absolutely. When I watched this game at so many points, I did not know if India even felt like they were really in the game, in certain junctures. In the beginning, at least, when the ball was moving and Arshdeep was doing whatever he was doing, which is amazing to watch, right? The kind of skill and remember that he was not even in the picture, before Bumrah got properly injured, and for him to do what he's doing and really own the power play was amazing. But after that, I did not think we had the teeth. And in this, it's really fickle. 1 or 2 chances, like Nitin says, you miss those. The game's pretty much gone. I don't think you could do much after the 15th over when they'd gotten to where they've gotten. They were confident that if they stuck around for a few more overs, they something could turn their way, and it quite perfectly did. I hand it to South Africa. I think they played like the team that were a little more sorted. I felt like India were still trying to find themselves throughout the course of the game. And let's not even talk about our opening pair. I know Rohit got that one good innings this tournament. Nevertheless, I really do not see KL or Rohit getting anything big, especially in the semi-finals. If we get there are enough things to worry about. If I look at India, actually Arshdeep and Shami are some of the good parts. The fact that those two came in and they are doing well is actually some of the good parts. A lot of questions that we have to think about.
So I actually like what Siddharth Monga wrote in Cricinfo. He said that going into this particular tournament, everyone has been talking about something called #new approach, which is the Rahul Dravid and the Rohit Sharma new approach of going bang bang. But after a couple of games, it looks like they have reverted back to the old approach, or in this case, as he calls it, the new approach. Because now Rohit seems to be going after it, just like but KL is back to where he was. Virat is back to more or less the 130, 135 strike rate. Of course, he's played really well considering all of that. Perhaps this is the kind of conditions which rewards that kind of play. And now there are questions of maybe we should let Steve Smith play as well, because this sort of rewards the way that he plays. I will now move on to Sameer. Thoughts?
Horrible batting, man. I mean,
I like it. This is the WhatsApp uncle take immediately. Okay, everyone has been like saying, "Oh, it is this, it is that." Like, horrible
fellows. They paid so much and they can't even hold the bat.
Bring them back home and give them some cows to graze.
Taking girlfriends and all and going, okay, like get married and settle down properly.
or in the spirit of our brethren from Pakistan, halat badal gaya, zamana badal gaya. तो KFC लेके जा रहे, but it's
not a proud moment for India.
Not a proud moment.
UNESCO has said, yeah.
Barring Sky, I think no one's just put their hand up. Even in Netherlands game also, they've struggled. It's been a pattern. This whole power play dilemma is always there, and it's just baffling to me that today they went all in on right-handers when you had Parnell and Keshav Maharaj. 8 out of 20 overs from left-handers could have taken advantage of it. They left Akshar. Pant inexplainably is just out and not coming here. So one can put down saying that had Sky stayed for the last over, this total would have been closer to like 150. And then it comes down to the whole, something that the commentators have been telling, saying that every ball is an event.
But is it an independent event?
I don't think the Virat Kohli drop catch and Rohit Sharma missing run out are mutually exclusive. One of them were supposed to happen, but this is a game that was lost by the batsmen. You look at the bowling performance again. It's been one of the bowlers had to travel for South Africa to win. Unfortunately, it had to be Ashwin. So yeah, I would say horrible batting, and I still stick by my WhatsApp uncle definition of it. So yeah, there's that.
If you had given the South African team dibs on, what conditions they would want to play India on, and you'd given them any pitch out there in the world, this would have been the one pitch they would have picked, right? Let's just agree that South Africa has a squad that is built to exploit these incredibly rare conditions that you see in a T20 game. And the Indian squad actually doesn't have it, right? You don't have a tearaway quick India. This is a choice that India made going into this tournament. They don't have the Andrik Notkia equivalent in their squad.
Also, to add a very interesting anecdote, this just played out like Nagpur 2011, right? Like Dale Steyn and Robin Peterson coming out and stopping India before 300 on a supposedly green pitch. Another pitch which South Africa would have picked 9 times out of 10 had they played in India, and then stretching the game beyond expectation to the last over, and then Peterson hitting the winning runs of Nehra. We all know 2011 mein kya hua tha, so we know where this is going, right? So fingers crossed.
Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to move to Tony. And Tony, before you give your thoughts about the game, kindly explain Kohli's catch. Is he still, should he be in the team? Okay, explain. Why should he still be in the team? Does he deserve his spot?
What Kohli's catch? Kohli not out first match, not out second match. He did not give any catch. Today, no catch. I disagree. Like these kind of questions I don't take. Like they have no job.
I think Kohli should put that MRF tire wala grip on his hands and like hold on to the next one. ZLX is recommended. But like last time we recorded, I was happy and high. Today I'm sad and sober. So I'll definitely try to keep it shorter. Well, if not short, at least hard length, and probably not the full way. But like these things are okay, man. Like one thing I've not understood about Indian fans, myself included, is that we always want our team to win every match and be like the unstoppable juggernaut, right? Which is not going to happen. I think India still competed very well in the tournament so far, given our limitations. When Jasprit Bumrah was out, we were all like, everything is gone. It's all gone to the dogs. But like Arshdeep has come in, Shami has come in. All of them have been doing pretty well, right? And special mention for Sky, who I had not, rated to perform as well as he did in the Australian conditions, and like what an innings that was, right? So shout out to Vikas for always telling us that Sky would do it. But today's wicket, if anything, if he can like play the kind of innings that he's done, I think lots of positives, right? Also, this is the last match at Perth, so we are okay. Semis are either in Adelaide or Sydney, and then finals in Melbourne. Basically, we should avoid a slip up against Zimbabwe and Bangladesh, and I think it's okay. I mean, I'm not overly sad because this was a foregone conclusion once we lost 5 wickets, right? And I think from there we made at least a match of it. So yeah, all okay.
PGK, what's your take?
My take. Actually, I fall more in the Tony camp, in the sense that my thinking is that, yeah, it's fine, you lost, but the thing is that, look, I mean, 133 anyway wasn't like a great score, wasn't like a bad score. I was like astonished at how well India bowled for the first 10 overs. It was like incredible bowling. And it also goes back to something that I always believe, that a lot of teams believe, that whenever there is like a tight, bouncy green top, every team like looks at it and says, against India especially, and they're like, this is the pitch that we will exploit India, and Indian bowlers can never exploit it. And historically over the last 10-15 years, we know that's not true. If you see wherever there have been bouncy wickets, and always they come in, like you start with like Perth, where Australia came in a test with like a 5 all-man pace attack. Similarly, in many green pitches and fast pitches, they have been astonished by how Indian bowlers have turned up as well. So I think the first 10 overs were like incredible. 40 for like 2 in like, then I was looking at it and I was thinking, well, you need nearly like 90. 40 for 3, sorry. Yes, they needed like nearly 100 runs in the last 10 overs. And it felt like, of course, Ashwin had a couple of overs which they knew they would go after. And it's fine. I mean, like I said, I don't think it's a particularly bad outing. they did okay. I'm starting to get a little concerned about DK. I actually think KL is like, this is expected from KL. He will probably turn it on over the next 2 matches, and then who knows what's going to happen in the semis. But DK, it has been a while since he's like delivered something truly match winning. Maybe he will, but the thing is that what he's doing is he's also keeping out the only left-hander who can come into the squad and who can potentially break up that entire matchup. So that is the part that I'm not sure about. But other than that, I think it has been okay. It's all.
Yeah, the fourth bowler conundrum is still there. I think we got the 3 bowlers and that one spinner pretty sorted. If Hardik Pandya does not do his
one
job...
spinner's pretty sorted. Okay, we'll put that to the side.
Okay, so
one spinner will play.
One spinner will play. I'm not saying that spinner's position is sorted. I'm saying we know the structure of the team. One spin, the fourth bowler being Hardik Pandya and locked in, right? Which means if he gives one bad over, and the worst over of the innings was that 16-run over from Hardik Pandya, after which I think there was very little to defend for Ashwin. That was a gamble. I mean, we knew that was a gamble the last over. But before that, with the drop, Ashwin was 2 for 14. I mean, none for 14, 2 overs. So he would have been 1 for 14 with an important wicket of Markram. And at that point, Miller was not accelerating. The game would have entirely turned on its head. So I think that part was good. But Hardik giving 16 runs means nobody's holding one end. They don't have the fear to go after the bowlers the same way. That's what worries me a little more. We could keep shifting it to Chahal, to Ash, to Aksar. But still the fourth bowler has to come good and it has to be a medium pacer, which is Hardik here.
Yeah. No, when we mentioned Bumrah, we forgot Jadeja, man. Like, what a big miss he has been. But yeah, I mean, like, the fourth bowler is or the fifth bowler, as it were, is a weakling for most teams at this point in time. Bring in Huda today was, I don't know, I mean, he didn't do anything. But yeah.
He just chewed gum. That's all he did, and then walked away for a
Deepak Chuda.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the logic. What is the logic with Huda? Because is Huda really a higher up in the pecking order as compared to Pant? Because surely you would try to get in the left-hander. Why would you not do that?
Huda can bowl the odd over, basically.
Yeah, I think he replaced Akshar Patel there, right? Like they decided they don't want to play Akshar as well, given there are 3 left-handers in the South African lineup. They wanted the off-spinner to come in instead. But fair question there. Like, there were at least 3 people in today's 11 whom Rishabh Pant could have gainfully replaced. In fact, he could have replaced all 3 at one shot. The team would have been better off having substitute fielders, instead.
And the irony is that he actually replaced one of them in the last 3 overs. So,
Yeah.
And DK is supposed to be the expert in the death overs, so.
He got out in the 15th over and went out in the 16th over. Both innings.
Sticking on the DK topic, I just went back and saw some of the images. I am potentially waiting for a statement from BCCI saying that there is injury concerns with DK. So I think Pant is a sure starter for the next game.
What images did you see?
I will do screen share. I will do screen share. DK being backstabbed.
To our listeners, what images did you see?
So there
Who is this person who's sending you these images?
KL Rahul, dude.
KL Rahul, yeah.
KL Rahul is on WhatsApp with Samir. Okay.
Basically, Rishabh Pant is in, dude. The question is who is going out, right? And there are 3 people who are all like looking sheepishly at each other. KL Rahul took the opportunity and pushed DK.
No, but let's understand that we are saying that Pant is in because he's not played any match. Like, his qualification is that we have not seen him play.
This is Virendra Sehwag in the 3rd test in England in 2011, no? They all said, Sehwag is coming for 3rd test. Everything is going to be alright once he flies. And he came in and got a king pair.
You saw the pitch. Everyone knows how Optus plays and the pace and bounce. Everyone's been talking ad nauseum before the tournament. Harshal could have played today. He can bat a bit and he can bowl. So,
okay. I mean, we officially know that the discussion is over because now we are thinking, can Harshal play? Okay, so it's fine. It's okay.
Hey, actually, Shreyas Iyer is also somewhere in Australia. Mohan Krishnamurthy also wants to be picked.
Okay, now we have descended completely into WhatsApp uncle group. So, all right, this has been.
Just wanted to say one thing on that point, right? See, every team, a couple of things in this tournament. Every team is definitely playing a spinner, whatever the conditions, right? Even South Africa played Keshav Maharaj. They could have easily gone with 5 fast bowlers. I think one of the reasons they're doing it is because teams are getting screwed over by the overrate violation that happens in the end. The other thing I want to call out, which I've never seen in T20 cricket before this tournament, is the spinner getting pushed or forced to bowl in the last 1 or 2 overs, right? It happened in the Asia Cup in that league game where Mohammad Nawaz did it. It is happening pretty much in every game in this tournament. And I love this tournament for that, right? The margins that teams are operating with, right? You literally don't have that slack of getting 1 extra over out of your spinner in the middle overs. You're forced to push him back. You're forced to do that gambit repeatedly. It happened with Bangladesh today as well. It's happened with Pakistan now a couple of times. It happened with India today. I love this tournament. When it's not raining, this tournament has been kick-ass.
Also, the turnaround after the drinks break, right? Which has become like du jour now, that you suddenly, it's like Rajnikant second half scenes just coming in and bashing everything out of the park. Quick aside, I just want to say that India losing to South Africa early in Jan is when we started this podcast. So nice to have everyone back here. On that note about last ball finishes and then everyone being called back and India-South Africa matches, just wanted to recall a very old game. I don't know if you remember, from 2000 in Kochi, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Which I had watched. And basically, I don't know if you remember, Rahul Dravid took 2 wickets because
Gary
Gary
Carson
Carson and Herschel Gibbs were smashing into all parts.
Okay, interesting anecdote. Sorry, can you name the 2 wickets that Rahul Dravid took?
Yeah, I can, but I'll leave it to others.
Okay, then I'll throw that to the others then.
Gibbs was one of them, no?
Wrong.
No.
I feel like Pat Simcox was one of them. Seems like a very Pat Simcox kind of a wicket.
Daryl Cullen
Remember
was one.
matchups. Hashtag matchups.
So if he's a right hand off spinner, then obviously left-handers were the ones who probably got out.
Klusner.
He got Kirsten and Klusner in 1 over.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
And a little later, in another stupid try-series, he got Saeed Anwar as well. And I think that was after Anwar had scored his 78th century against India.
Yeah. Just to bring the podcast back to the full circle, right? India versus South Africa. Player of the match then. Do you remember that player of the match?
Of course I do.
Our friend Natil Evade Ajay Jadeja.
Oh yeah, Jadeja, of course.
Who scored, who came in, I think, 5 at number 6 or something and scored a 92.
India was
In fact,
60 for 4, chasing 290 odd, and Jadeja
300,
scored 90 odd.
301.
300.
And why this match is memorable was, okay, obviously I was there, but basically like Robin Singh and I think Kumble or someone was at the...
Kumble.
And they scored the winning run. Everybody went off, and then basically they were all called back because they had miscounted and like they had to score 1 more run extra.
It was a diving save on the boundary or something.
Yeah, correct. No, it was not a
saved
boundary check. It is just that score miscounted.
Score
So they had to
miscounting
come
happened,
back.
yeah.
So this is from the ESPN Cricinfo report from that match. The scriptwriters for the drama were the umpires, and the lead star was the third umpire. One fails to understand how such silly mistakes can be made considering the available technological assistance. The players came back onto the field and Indians got the victory. But basically...
Okay. Nobody edited that write up later to add the scriptwriter was also Hatsi Kraje. So like, come.
And it's good to see that 2 decades on, they can copy paste that same thing and use it for everything they want.
Yeah.
But my most memorable memory of that particular game was that I remember that when the match was over, at least I have this memory, I don't know if it's right, there were people coming on the ground. Like it was almost like it was a very big crowd invasion on the ground later. And I remember Jadeja there and surrounded by like a bunch of people. Maybe there were like some kind of barricade, etc. And speaking in Malayalam to someone with a mic in front. And I've been trying to find that clip, but I just couldn't. I can't find it anywhere.
Tony has the video cassette. Malayalam Manorama video cassette.
Because until then, because we were in the Gulf and we always were told, oh, Jadeja is half Malu, or he speaks a little Malayalam. It was one of those urban line. But this is the first time I actually saw it, where you see him. It was really bad and terrible Malayalam, but he did speak Malayalam.
The only person who didn't see it was Mithun Sundar. Much later.
I have a couple of things to add to this. You said very memorable match. It is an extremely memorable match for me because the next day I was writing my 10th standard board exam. I was writing my Tamil exam paper the next day. I watched the entire match and I had a lot of stuff to cram before I went. And I was like, this game has to end now. Bloody, I need to start. It's already 5 p.m. And then they go and then they come back and I'm like, and I used to, like I mentioned before, I used to be a huge fan of Jadeja and I knew that, okay, he's going to be the man of the match. Like, amazing innings and all of that. So I had to watch every bit of it, including the Mallu speech and everything, right? But yeah. On the point of Ajay Jadeja and Malayalam, I don't know if you guys remember, between the India-Pakistan quarterfinal in Bangalore and the India-Sri Lanka semi-final, obviously India beat Pakistan in the 96 quarterfinal.
They're on a high and all that.
Massive celebration. News channels were all like, oh, demigods, they have done everything. It doesn't matter if they win the World Cup, this, that. And there was some news channel that went and did a segment with the parents of cricketers, right? They went and asked Sachin's parents, Sachin's mom, what do you expect from your son in the final? They went and spoke to Ajay Jadeja's father. What do you expect from your son in the final? And Jadeja senior, or rather super senior I should say, said, എനിക്ക് മോഹൻ്റെ അടുത്തുനിന്ന് ഒരു സെഞ്ചുറി വേണം സെമിഫൈനൽ. What did Jadeja score in the semi-final? 0 of 18 balls or something, or 12 balls. He gets out bowled round the legs by Sanat Jayasuriya, which has never been done by anybody in the world, right? Everybody whose parent they spoke to that day got a duck. I think Azhar got a duck. I think like multiple ducks. They didn't speak to Kambli's.
Washington Sundar's dad.
Hashtag events that preceded disaster.
Yeah, but bringing it back to the World Cup, right? I want to lodge a petition for all World Cups to be in Australia. What a superb tournament it's been, actually. All
when it is not raining, please. Let's have rainy World Cups only in England, not in other parts of the world. Cannot deal.
It's actually not a Super 12, it's a Super 13. The 13th player is the rain. So it's like you never know when they come and they mess.
Yeah.
No, but I saw this tweet which said that T20 or cricket in general heals the moment it's farther away from Dubai. I think there is nothing farther from the truth. The only thing is toss hasn't been a factor so far. It's been very equally evenly matched games. So yeah, there's that also.
Cool. We all look forward to the World Cup in the US in 2024. It'll be super exciting.
Lauderhill. Munde baro Lauderhill.
But comparing this World Cup to that will be comparing apples to Florida oranges.
Alright, so we are more or less done talking about India and South Africa. Actually, this was nice. This wasn't like as funeral as you would expect. If India lose to Bangladesh, I expect this will get very, very tough. But then, we'll come to that. Okay, so I think we are okay.
You know where you heard it first, folks. That was Praveen Gopal Krishnan.
Samir on video is actually like literally showing and waving a calculation sheet at the camera. So he has done his work. So over to you, Samir. Tell us now, what does... I mean, we think Pakistan are out, but apparently you say Pakistan still have a chance if somebody loses to someone else, if the sun rises in the west, and if like Greg Chappell wakes up on the right side of the bed, then they have an outside chance, it seems. Okay, go on, tell us.
Nothing.
What's going on?
This just proves one thing, that how survivor bias filled RCB fans are, that we have to bring the sheet out. I'm bringing the sheet out in late October, which is not the case. It's always in April. Coming straight to the point now, just to give you a context of where the table is after today's game, South Africa sitting pretty at 5 points plus 2.7 net run rate. India is at 4 plus 0.8. Bangladesh is at 4 but minus 1.5. All teams have played 3 games. I'm just going to talk about Group B for now. Zimbabwe, after 3 games, have 3 points and minus 0.05. They are just there. And Pakistan are 5th in the league, their standings, 2 points but plus 0.76. Netherlands, for all measure, unfortunately are out of this race. They haven't scored any win so far. I'll come straight to Pakistan.
Do you have a column for net rain rate also?
Rain affected.
He will do all these calculations. Tomorrow it will rain, then everything is gone.
Actually, this group has not been affected by rain much, right?
That's
Yeah.
Only South Africa.
South Africa got one rain.
South Africa, even that you nearly had a result.
They would have had more points actually.
Yeah, if not for Mr. Duckworth and Mr. Lewis, but yes.
If they had come back.
But if you compare to Group A, which had like 5 games rained out.
So there are 4 teams tied at 3 points.
Yeah, 3 teams tied at 3, 2 teams tied at 2 for Group A.
And there also everyone has played 3 matches now, is it?
Everyone's played 3 matches. At this point, we are at the
halfway.
Not really halfway,
Not halfway.
60%. 60% of
Oh,
the,
right. Everyone gets 5.
Perfectly set up for Vanindu Hasaranga to lead them into the semis. I'm waiting for it.
I wish. I haven't mapped, so unfortunately I couldn't map out Sri Lanka's scenarios. But
No point in going to group 1. Like
Yeah.
everyone can qualify, including
everyone can
including
But at the end of the day, rain will qualify.
In another day, you'll say Papua New Guinea also has a chance of qualifying from Group A.
And New Zealand will lose in the finals. So it's all
boundary count.
They'll call back West Indies and say, hey, come back, wait, it's not over. Come back.
I'll straight away come to the hot point. Pakistan's chances. They've backed them to a corner. They need to win both. But yeah,
but the
What's happened?
straightforward
Pakistan
ones
have backed
are.
themselves to a corner is like last 50 years of Pakistan history. I mean, what else is it? In every way. Sports, politics, war, everything is the same story. Pakistan have backed
Home
themselves.
studio.
no. Coke Studio, we've backed up ourselves to a corner.
That is
So the straightforward ones are India and South Africa. If they win
Yeah.
both their remaining matches, they're through, and that's it.
Yeah,
Like, don't
yeah,
look
I
at
will-
anything else.
I will do the whole Sarabhai versus Sarabhai Dushyant Let me explain thing.
Oh, okay.
Pakistan, they win both, they still get to 6, and then they have to hope that either India or drop a game or Bangladesh drop a game, and then their best case is still on net run rate, because 2 of either India or Bangladesh can get to 6 points at this stage.
So wait, one second. So you say either India or Bangladesh have to drop a game. Don't both have to lose.
Both have to lose is the absolute best case, which is not going to happen because Bangladesh play India next.
Oh, beautiful.
It is not. This is full.
Welcome to the logical reasoning and data interpretation prep course for CAT 2020.
What happens if India Bangladesh reigns? Then
Pakistan are out. Wow. So their best case is India.
ये तो कुदरत का निजाम है.
Pakistan's meteoric rise stalled by meteorological factors.
Although I do have a best case scenario, which is India losing both games will mean that Pakistan go through. This is an
No,
absolute-
they'll still have to
If
win.
India lose both games, they're not coming back to India. They will stay. They will get a visa
No,
there
but
only the whole
one
team.
second.
But
So
Zimbabwe
even if India lose both, Zimbabwe has one match against India which they win and
has
they
to
will
lose
win
one.
the other one.
Zimbabwe has to lose one. Yeah,
It's like
it's not looking good for Pakistan. This is RCB territory.
we can. I think like this is a free idea for it. There should be a board game created based on these scenarios. Like
Yeah, it's called fantasy
It
cricket.
is called RCB fan. Okay, that is what it is.
it's a better fantasy league.
This is what RCB fans have been doing for 12, 13, 14 years now. But
Basically, now Pakistan chances are like really, really remote. Like a lot of things have to go perfectly in a certain way. And even then, there are no guarantees. But who is most likely to qualify? South Africa have they qualified?
South Africa are the likely to qualify because their next game.
But it's not guaranteed yet.
Not
South Africa
guaranteed
can
yet.
Still not.
They can still not. They can still lose, but one of their games is against Netherlands. So, assuming that that's a very walk in the park game for them, they are sitting pretty.
It's a World Cup in Australia. It is South Africa. They've had one rain out. Their game against Netherlands is also a rain out. That is 2 points they've been
2
denied
points.
against Zimbabwe and Netherlands. They will be stuck on 6 points if they lose to Pakistan. It can happen again.
Then win. So just to clarify to our listeners, if matches are rained out and teams are on the same number of points, the first elimination criteria is the number of wins.
Boundary count.
I thought number of right-handers. Then India would have.
Overrate how well they
Num-
adhere to.
Number of people who can make meme faces on Danish set videos. I wish that were a metric, but that's not the case.
As if.
As if. Both in the same group, by the way.
At which point is the criteria the Spirit of Play award? At which point is that? Then England will win. Okay.
No, there's nothing.
Basically, the Pakistan scenario reminds me of Chandler Bing in Friends. Who has to die for me to get the baby? It is basically that setup right now.
Here to remind our listeners again that this is the friendliest cricket podcast. Going to India, heartening part is they play Bangladesh next in Adelaide, which is more India-friendly conditions. The advantage for India is that they play the last league game against Zimbabwe. So both Zimbabwe and India know on the 6th or the 5th that what exactly they need to do to qualify.
Desha decided 2 months back. This always happens in every tournament.
See, as an RCB fan, we've always played SRH in the last day. So I need to bring that criteria, no, and have to tell that also has an impact. It's another thing that, we've gone and bottled against Ravi Teja or David Warner, just walk back and take.
Okay. Got it. So basically, TLDR, Samir, anyone can qualify at this point in time.
Like everyone else, PGK is like completely rubbing aside your rubbishing your RCB votes that you're bearing so vulnerably. And he's like, yeah.
Other than Netherlands, anyone can qualify. That's what it is, TLDR at this point.
No.
Anyone but Netherlands. The less popular sequel.
Murali, any thoughts on Pakistan? Given that a lot of their hopes and joy and memes were based on today's game, I just thought we'd talk a little bit about Pakistan.
Today's
Murali.
games, plural.
Games.
That's true.
They had all three games, right? All three. Like, what a day for Pakistan fans.
This is just like you, Nitin. You were sitting before your exam and watching. No, Ajay Jadeja. Like that Pakistani players must have been sitting for 9 hours.
9 hours.
Play for 3 hours and watch for 6 hours.
At the end of it, they get screwed, man, by India. It's so sad.
Just a
I mean,
question.
Shakim did like a bloody pivot to look back, line throw and all to keep them alive, man. Can you believe it?
Thoughts, Murali, on Pakistan and what's going on?
Hey, I never thought I'd like Pakistan so much like I liked them in this World Cup, man. I really like what the Pakistani fans are doing. In general, Pakistanis are doing, and I play cricket here in Europe for a full-blown Pakistani team. The WhatsApp group is freaking fireworks, man. I've never seen... It felt like I got time machine to like 90s India, where everybody's dropping everything. Nobody has no idea where the ball is. And this is crazy because, again, just like how 90s India was, this is a really skilled Pakistani team. I genuinely think they've got amazing mettle. To watch them just do the tiny little bit of fuck up when it just matters the most. It's crucial time, Pakistan. Don't fuck up. I heard you. I should fuck up, right? Got it. I'll do it. That's really how Pakistan's doing. I'm watching these people lose their minds. And even while seeing their players, right, they kept saying they were a heavy Rizwan Babar, side. I don't think Rizwan and Babar have done anything, and they've still completely risen to the occasion every time. They've nearly gotten 98% there. So I actually like it because I see all these people, especially in these TikTok videos where they come close to the camera with their beards nearly filling half the thing, and they're screaming at the camera saying, I cannot believe you guys could do it. What is wrong with you? I know they're finding all these hyperbole things to blame, like AFC burgers, or they don't know English, they don't speak to chicks and all that. But truth be told, they're just really sad. And their fielding is horrible, man. Like, it's absolutely horrible. I cannot imagine that you brought a team to this level, because you can see how much Zimbabwe is putting in to save that last run in the last over. They feel like, the India in the 90s where somebody will point like that to the back every time the ball is close to them, because they will believe that a person will magically appear and stop it. That person is you. You had to run after the ball, you idiot.
Bhai, aap kahan?
Every time I've seen this a lot. I used to do it in gully cricket, and there is no 30-yard circle. I used to point like that and watch the ball go to the boundary. Because I thought that was the thing to do, where you tell the people at the back where the ball is gone, so they can take it and throw it back in. And I think
Prasad, how you taught a
Exactly.
generation of cricket.
Anil Kumble's, Venkatesh Prasad's, all of them taught us that, right? And that's what Pakistan is really showing to the day. And there have been videos, TikTok has these videos where there is, in practice, Hyderli is dropping dollies, like straight into his hand, he's dropping a dolly. And my father used to use this term a lot. He'll call it Suda Suda Pongal. In all these temples in the morning, there is nothing to put it on, so they'll put hot pongal straight into your hand. So most people will get it and drop it off.
Rice.
So my father will say in the Pakistan Makalla Suda Suda Pongal Puttinruka. Same. Like, that's how they're fielding. And I don't think you can rise to the occasion, man. I just feel bad watching them play.
Murali, don't you think today all the other teams who Pakistan depended upon also displayed same behavior? I mean, think of it. Bangladesh, India, everyone was just dropping. Zimbabwe. Worst.
Standards were terrible today.
Terrible.
Very, very bad.
And also a special mention for the transference of the Virat Kohli curse onto Babar Azam. It's most likely the next captain to go after.
Babar is having the sort of tournament that Inzamam had in 2003 World Cup. Like basically just, he scored like 13 runs in that entire World Cup or something, right? It's that kind of a horror World Cup. Happens sometimes.
And he found like 4 ways of getting out, if I remember correctly. Inzamam, like basically, Inzamam is the one where if you ever have a cricket, this thing are all the ways of getting out. They say there are like some 12 or 13 ways of getting. Inzamam is the one. You have to take a video of Inzamam in each one of them. Obstructing the field, handling the field, everything timed out, everything. Inzamam has done all. Everything.
Inzy was never Mankaded, dude. Never took a start.
He would never leave the crease only.
Never left the start.
Very grounded fellow.
Yeah.
His YouTube videos are brilliant, by the way. Just a note. And his interview with Ashna was something else during the pandemic. First
There is
lockdown.
an
I believe.
Inzamam interview with
Interview with Ash, yes. First
Imagine
lockdown.
Ashwin speaking Hindi in Urdu.
It's a brilliant interview. We should link it in the show notes, by the way.
we should also watch it.
गाँव में एक किसान रघुता
Yenna P-Dog, ipdi run out hai teri.
No, but imagine Ashwin and Inzamam, right? The Mankaded and the one who cannot be Mankaded. It is basically an irresistible force and immovable object. Inzy in more ways than one immovable.
All right, I think we are
Guys,
more or
we have
less.
to talk about Pak Bean, dude.
Oh, okay, fine. All right, we'll talk about Pac Bean. But so, Tony, tell us about Pac Bean. Set it up for us. Tell us what was happening.
Of all of the times that we've been on the internet and Twitter, like we never imagined, such a large sort of involvement can happen based on a meme, right? Involving someone who is pretending to be who they are not. Of course, I'm not talking about Rahul Ligma, but Pak Bean, right? And like an epic series of 3 tweets and replies, which led to international premiers, sparring at each other on Twitter. I'll read out the tweet. It is a tweet by Gugi Chasura. Obviously, I'm pronouncing it wrong. This is when Pakistan Cricket, the real PCB on Twitter, had posted saying, "On to the next challenge. We will T20 World Cup." Right before the Zimbabwe match. And then Mr. Chasura writes, "As Zimbabweans, we won't forgive you. You once gave us that fraud Pak Bean instead of Mr. Bean Rowan. We will settle the matter tomorrow. Just pray the rains will save you." Hashtag Zim versus Pak. And then there's this guy called Sam Pakistani, real Sam Malik, who's asking, "What happened, brother?" And then Mr. Chasura is replying, "They gave us Pak Bean instead of Mr. Bean on one of our local events called Agriculture Show." And then he assumes this is the full context, okay? And then a step forward at one down, Mr. Multani Saint, who says, it's a very pithy but beautiful tweet which goes, "What the fuck is Pak Bean?" At which point Mr. Chasura replies with a picture of a person who looks like Mr. Bean but is apparently not. And the question was, "What the fuck is Pak Bean?" And Mr. Chasura replies, "This is the fuck called Pak Bean who imitates Mr. Bean stealing people's money."
I mean,
By the way, FYI, this thing happened 8 years ago.
yeah.
Okay, so it's a grudge that
It's a
this
grudge.
guy has been holding since the Obama administration. Okay, he's like, "I will hold on to this shit."
We were 8 years in power.
No, I think he only now realized that it is the fake bean that he paid for 8 years back.
This guy has a whole extra mole under his nose, like a huge one. He's much fatter.
He's like the Halloween version of Mr. Bean, dude. He's not a natural doppelganger, but he's done everything it takes to look like a Desi version of Mr. Bean. It's incredible.
So I want to just contextualize it with 2 things. So after the game was done and Zimbabwe essentially had their grudge over Pak Bean, so the name of this guy is Asif Mohammed. He came on a Facebook watch or a Facebook live video dressed up as Bean with that that soft toy, and he says, "Oh, I don't know cricket. Oh, ball tuk bat," and he was just describing Rizwan at that point. He put out a full video expressing, I think, sadness. I mean, one could.
I saw
It was
10
very
seconds of
unfunny.
that
That
video.
video was completely
Yeah,
unfunny.
I saw 10
Completely
seconds of the
unfunny.
video and I'm
He
like,
didn't know
how
what
do you
to do.
realize this is not
Before the match, he irritated Zimbabwe. After the match, he irritated Pakistan, dude.
Correct.
It's like,
And he had a magical pronunciation of Zimbabwe. If you've seen the video, he calls it Zimbabwe or Zimbabwe, something like that. It was very hard.
It was very hard because he was actually a Pakistani trying to do an impression of Mr. Bean, who does not speak. by the way.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
who does not speak at all. Okay.
So it's fully
Of
valid.
a cricket game that he probably has not watched and has no context over. It was really
he
his
is
moment. He
trending.
could have done something big with it, but I don't think he understood what was going on.
I
But
think
the
the
coda
icing,
to this is that, so just to round up the story, President of Zimbabwe tweeted after the match, "What a win for Zimbabwe! Congratulations to the Chevrons. Next time, send the real Mr. Bean." Park versus Sim. And this was obviously followed by someone from Pakistan responding as well, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Pakistani
by
president.
the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shehbaz Sharif. So great gender knowledge boost for me. I was like, what happened to Mugabe? Who was the person? Like, oh, Mugabe, Allah God.
Thus proving that we are not ignorant just about cricket.
No, that's proving that we are not WhatsApp University, we are Twitter University. As a cricket fan, I'm just ecstatic when cricket becomes a part of global discourse, right? And just 2 or 3 random tweets that one random fellow put about some idiotic agricultural show becoming such a trending event that, premiers of the world got involved, trended on Twitter around the world, became a thing, put cricket on the map at least for 2-3 days.
This is what cricket Twitter was used to be, because it wasn't about the random hate, it wasn't about the Kohli versus Rohit hashtags, who unfollowed whom on Instagram. It was this, right? It was things like this, that something random someone takes and they just like put it up and it just ends up becoming like something global, and just everybody accepts it and has fun with it. So,
But
I
in
think
a
it was
super
nice
karmic way, I think that match deserved it. It was nearly as good as India-Pakistan. Nearly as good. It was a mind-blowing finish. And India-Pakistan had more runs. So it was kind of meant to be one of those hard-hitting, difficult games. And of course, Virat had a hold of the form. But this game, that save of that, converting a 4 into a 3 in the first ball, and the kind of the way they bowled to Nawaz. I mean, for Nawaz, he had to be there at that moment, right? It was written that this was Nawaz's moment. There is that beautiful meme of Babar talking and telling people, do not point at any individuals, particularly you, Nawaz. and I've seen that at least 10 times.
This is nobody's fault. Let us not point fingers of anybody.
Especially you, Nawaz. And he had to be there at that moment, and for Zimbabwe to pull it off, everything about everything was brilliant about that match. So I think all of the adulation is deserving.
Amazing finish. That catch, man. That catch of the penultimate ball. Wow.
Yeah. Speaking of people who basically like cricket coming into the global mainstream and people recognizing it and seeing it, I think we should end with Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan on his podcast basically suddenly discovered cricket. In fact, the crazy part is I don't remember who he was with.
Are you sure this is
on
not
the-
AI generated?
So essentially what happened on that podcast was that this guest had basically come in and he was talking about how big cricket had gotten in this thing. And he was basically educating Joe Rogan about what is going on in India versus Pakistan and how it is bigger than the Super Bowl. And Joe Rogan is like completely clueless. He's like, India versus Pakistan? He's like, bigger than Super Bowl? Then he says, which sport? Is it soccer? He's like, no, you idiot, it's cricket. Oh, cricket. Okay, I've heard of that. So he says he refuses to believe it. He says, no, it cannot be bigger than Super Bowl. He's like, no, it is. It was bigger than Super Bowl. And actually, he's talking about the India versus Pakistan game, not the one that happened in Melbourne, but the one that happened in the UAE. He's talking about the previous either the World Cup or the Asia Cup. He's not clear which one of the two it is. But the fun part was at the end of it, he basically tells Joe Rogan that the biggest player in the world is this guy named Kohli. He misspells Kohli. He says his name is Koli. But he says that he's really, really popular. And then he asks Joe Rogan, who's the most popular basketball player in the world? And he says LeBron. And he says, LeBron has like 130 million followers on Instagram. How many do you think this guy Kohli would have? Then Joe Rogan is like, oh, he must have at least 90 or something. And then he pulls it up and his head explodes when he sees that Kohli has close to like 230 or 240 million followers. He's like, how is this possible? What kind of a sport is this? What's really going on here? So yeah, it was a nice moment where suddenly people are discovering, and they did a Google search as well, and they looked at the viewership and they see their jaw drops at the 250 million people who watched the India-Pakistan match
What's
and 25
OTT?
million on OTT, and then they were looking
What's
at it,
OTT?
what is OTT? Okay, and then they were like, oh, I think it's DVR. And I'm thinking, what is DVR? Okay.
Acha, Nutgraph needs to go to the US.
Joe Rogan is not necessarily even human, he's a voice. Because yesterday at a Halloween party with these two American people who were hosting, I told him at 11 o'clock I want to leave because in the morning I have to wake up at 7 to watch a Pakistan game. And there is an India-South Africa game. And he goes, oh, whoa, there's a game tomorrow. What kind of sport? And I was like, it's cricket, man. He's like, oh, cricket, right? I hear it's picking up a lot. More and more people are playing these days, I'm seeing. And I was like, what the hell is wrong with you, you idiot? Everybody outside your country plays it. You are the only people who don't. And we are going to play it in your country.
Do you know the World Cup next year is in your country?
Yeah,
right?
I know they were coming to play in the US and there are more people playing there. So, nice. I hear it's good. Is it like basketball? It's more like baseball. Right now, it's like, I'm done with you, dude. Like, I'm done. I have no patience for you anymore. Just go back to being white.
God.
Talking about World Cup in USA, does USA get direct qualification?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
They do.
Yes,
They do?
They do.
And West Indies
Then-
also.
Many years back, guys, I think I was in class 6 or something, and I was a huge fan of the WWF. Okay, and there was this event in Chennai. I don't know, Chennai kids of that vintage might remember. There were a few wrestlers who were coming to Chennai, and there was a meet and greet that was organized, and kids could show up at Landmark to go and shake hands with wrestlers and all, right? And Bam Bam Bigelow was coming. He was the big star attraction. Okay, so I coaxed my dad to take me to that event, and we were very excited to be there. There were 3 or 4, wrestler type dudes. I didn't recognize the others, but I could clearly make out that the guy who claimed to be Bam Bam Bigelow was in fact not Bam Bam Bigelow. Okay, so before India and USA play each other in that World Cup, I will tweet about fake Bam Bam Bigelow, and we will take it out in their home ground and show them.
Munte para louder hill.
What a throwback, dude.
Anyone remembers that Hindi movie in which the Undertaker showed up?
Yes. Akshay Kumar, fake Undertaker.
That was so fake, man.
International Khiladi.
International Killadi, total
Yes.
fraud. That was not at all Undertaker. He didn't even look like the Undertaker. He was in barely an Undertaker costume also.
It's really good that Akshay Kumar's career has taken off since then and he's no longer doing fraud stuff and now he's doing really well-meaning.
And he foreshadowed it from that same movie which had a song says Seedhe Saadhe Akshay, and now he's Seedhe Saadhe picking up rocks from the bed of the sea. Obvious Ram Setu reference. So, yeah.
Too much.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's more or less it. We should come back again next week. By the time we are back next week, we will have no need for Samir because we will know who would have qualified. Actually, we'll have no need for Samir's calculations because we would know who would have qualified from both the groups. I think more or less the semi-final slots would be set up by next week. And until then...
So basically, like RCB, you're eliminating Samir before the semi.
Oh,
I'm
man.
editing Samir's paper, which he will tear and burn and put on Twitter. This has been a fun panel. Everybody say bye, and we'll be back next week with episode 44 with the 4 semi-finalists. Hopefully, the 4 semi-finalists. All right, everyone say bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bigelow.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.